My name is Karen Bopp, and I'm the Director of Provincial Outreach for Circa. And today, and Sharon is with me today. Hi, Sharon.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about the development of the Professional Development Initiative. And we'll talk specifically about autism and neurodiversity in the workplace, but really introduce you to the fact that this is the first of 4 professional development programs that we are creating here at Circa. So first of all, I just sort of wanted to give you sort of a little bit of a history as to why we've been asked to focus on autism spectrum disorder specifically. How this project was started was out of the Ministry of Children and Family Development did a cross-ministry services and supports review. And in that review, we took a look at services and supports across the lifespan and, what needs to happen. And what we did notice is that the prevalence of autism continues to rise. So there are more and more individuals with ASD in a wide variety of service sectors. But traditionally, we found in the review that we did was that traditionally we focused on providing direct interventions to autistic individuals, really to have them fit in or change who they are to be able to fit in. And this is really important. It's important to continue with types of supports and services to help each individual reach their opportunity and their own potential. But it really is only half the story. And we also want to focus on society's role, and we all play a part in doing this, in giving people the chance to be successful within a multitude and be included in a multitude of environments. So we need to have access for people to learn about how to better understand, how to better accept and support persons on the spectrum in all walks of life. Over the last 5 years or more, there have been more and more of these types of professional development opportunities that are targeted towards, people like employers or recreation providers, but they're only really starting to emerge. But I want to sort of orient you to this. I'll go back to this graph that you're looking at in front of you right now. And you'll see that in 2000, the Ministry of Children and Family Development has been following the number of children between the ages of 0 and 18 who have been accessing autism funding. And so it's a pretty good measure of the prevalence or the number of individuals with autism or the kids under age 18 in BC. And so there's 3 lines here. One is the blue line, that's ages 0 to 6. And you see that in 2007, we had 1 in every 346 kids aged 0 to 6 had a diagnosis of autism. And in now speed up to 2021, these numbers were all taken at the end of February of each year. It's 1 in 102. The line that is most interesting, because most kids are diagnosed sometime at least after the age, at least most kids are diagnosed hopefully before the age of 18, is the red line. And these are the actual number of kids with an ASD diagnosis in British Columbia between the ages of 6 to 18. And you see that prevalence rate has risen from 1 in 181 to now 1 in every 36 kids between the ages of 6 and 18 have a diagnosis of autism. So when we turn back to looking at inclusion in sort of a wide variety of things besides just individual therapies around speech and language and behavior. And we're looking more towards inclusion in recreation, inclusion in employment, inclusion in being able to go to the dentist, and better understanding when you see your physician. So we're really targeting this area because it's no longer the case of, will a physician or will an employer encounter or have individuals with autism either in who they're serving or who they're employed. It's sort of how many and how can we better support them. And so circa through funding through the funding from the BC Ministry of Children and Family Development started this new project to improve professional development opportunities so that a variety of non-traditional service sectors, so not just sort of teachers and sort of speech paths and behavior consultants, but really non-traditional service sectors can learn what they can do better to support persons on the spectrum to be fully included. And so really our project purpose is to develop new and free, so free, there's the big thing, free professional development programs and coordinate sort of existing autism related resources to improve inclusion for autistic individuals and their families across really 4 service sectors that we identified through a strategic plan co-design process. And that process included taking a look at that co-design process included interviewing over 250 people across British Columbia and asking them who needs to know more and what do they need to know. So I'll get to the sort of the target service sectors in a minute. But I just want to cover what this initiative is not. It's not a research project, and it's not meant to dictate what we think each targeted service sector needs to know about autism and neurodiversities. Instead, the initiative actually is guided by a needs assessment by the targeted service sectors. So I'm going to talk to you about how we developed each of these professional development programs, and they all arose from what are the needs of that service sector. We weren't going to employers and saying, you need to know A, B, and C. We were asking employers, what do you need to know and how do you want to learn it? It's also meant to offer assistance and expertise in the area of autism neurodiversities to both pre-service. So we have been doing some collaboration with the University of British Columbia Dentistry Program to learn about autism and neurodiversities in pre-service, as well as in-service or professional development programs. And it really is a unique opportunity to access autism expertise that's sort of outside the typical service sector that they typically do. Employers aren't experts in autism, neither are dentists, neither are childcare providers. And so it's really an opportunity to access a professional development at no cost. So let's just talk a little bit about the strategic plan and how we got on to choosing these 4 service sectors that we are creating professional development programs for. So as I said, we interviewed people across the province, and then we got together a very diverse advisory committee. We looked over all of the results from the needs assessment of stakeholders. So those stakeholders included autistic individuals and families and service providers and employers and other folks like that across BC. And we asked them, as I said, what do they need to know and how do they need to know it? And we got everything from my landlord needs to know more about autism all the way to my physician needs to know more about autism. So this advisory committee took all that information and decided that we would focus on these 4 key service sectors. So employment related professionals. We are in development to create these professional development programs for primary care providers, and we're partnering with UBC Continuing Professional Development to do that. Dental professionals, as well as childcare providers. But today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the employment-related professional work as an example of how these programs were developed. So what was the development process to actually get the content for the modules that we've created? One, we did a cross-jurisdictional scan of all existing resources. We have no interest in recreating or reinventing the wheel. And what we really want to do within our modules is give people a start and also provide them with an extensive resources that they can access in a wide variety of other ways. So there's a lot of existing resources that we took advantage of. We then conducted focus groups to do, as I said, needs assessment for each of these service sectors. We had focus groups with, we collaborated with, for the employment, we collaborated with the Chartered Professionals of Human Resources of BC and Yukon. In the service sectors of dentistry, we collaborated with the BC Dental Association as well as the BC Dental Hygiene Association. And in childcare, we collaborated with many of the childcare associations across BC. And we also did a survey of childcare providers to ask about what their needs are in terms of what they want to know. We then established an expert advisory committee for each of the programs that we're creating. So there's an advisory committee for employment, for dentistry, for medical, and for childcare. And we also obviously conducted a literature review in each of these service sector areas to find out sort of what are best practices, what do folks need to know. And then we very much were ensured that there was active involvement from autistic individuals and first person voices in every step of this process in creating our content. And this included having on the employment modules, on the employment program specifically on our advisory committee, we had 3 autistic individuals, all were paid for their time. We had 4 parents on the advisory committee for the employment, again, all compensated for their time. We also developed a work environment survey in partnership with an autistic self-advocate, and that survey was completed by over 170 autistic individuals from across Canada, and it really informed the content of sort of what works for autistic individuals in the workplace, in the employment setting. And then finally, we interviewed 15 autistic and neurodiverse adults who shared their personal experiences on camera and really gave life and a voice to these modules. And of course, all of them were also paid for their time. And so I'll just, this is going to switch over to Sharon now, who's going to talk to you about some of the key features of the instructional design process. And I will stop sharing.
Thanks, Karen. So my name is Sharon Hu. I am the instructional designer for this project, and I want to highlight some key features of these modules that really make the content very user-friendly. And these features are in all the modules in the series. So first, there are clearly stated learning objectives. In the beginning of each module, you will know exactly what topics are covered and if the module is relevant to you. And second, the information is presented in multiple formats. There's a mixture of text, videos with closed captioning, audio with transcription, and clickable images. So the information doesn't get monotonous and you're not just scrolling through a long page of text. And the screenshots you see here are just a small sample of the different types of format you will see in all the modules. And number 3, very approachable narrative. The tone of the content is decidedly non-academic and free of jargon. It's very suitable for the general public. So it doesn't read like a textbook. It's more like having a really good conversation with a group of people. Number 4, first-person perspective and real-life examples. All the modules include lots of personal experiences and real-life stories told from first-person perspective through quotes and videos. And so as you go through these modules, you really feel like you are getting to know the autistic employees and the employers who appear in these videos. Number 5, these modules are self-paced and they are modular. You can join the module series at any time and work through the material at your own pace. There's some flexibility in which modules to complete and in what order. And since we don't expect people to finish an entire module in one session, we chose a platform that would keep track of your progress by showing the percentage of completion, like you see here, and also which pages you have completed. So as you go through the module, once you have completed a page, you will see a blue check mark next to the page heading. And the other good thing is the platform also remembers where you left off. So if you don't finish a session, you close the browser, when you log back in, the platform is going to take you to the page you were on last time. Number 6, there are frequent feedback. There are lots of interactive case studies and self-assessments throughout the modules. The self-assessments like the one you see on the screen here. So even though there's no instructor, you will still receive feedback throughout the modules. And lastly, number 7, credentials and micro-credentials. When you complete all the modules, you will receive a certificate of completion that looks like this. But we also want to recognize the time and the effort you put into finishing a single module. So you do have the opportunity to earn a badge of completion when you finish each module. And this is what the modules look like. And now let's switch back to Karen, and she's going to describe the topics covered in each module.
Thanks, Sharon. So the ones we're going to look at for today, autism and neurodiversity in the workplace, we created 5 modules. The first one really is focused on really understanding, as the topic is, autism in the workplace. And this is really learning and introducing, as we said, to getting you to know individuals or autistic employees and sort of from their perspective, their experiences in the employment world. And so we also briefly review the 4 key topic areas in modules 2 through 5. And this really is because module 1 is a requirement for you to take either any of the following modules 2 through 5, but also we wanted to have some brief overview of what was in modules 2 through 5, because when we did the needs assessment and we talked to employers and we talked to HR professionals, they said, you know, sometimes I need something really quick and easy, or a single module that I can share with my executive, that I can have them watch to sort of be a teaser and a key as to why we need to go down this road of inclusive employment. So that was really important to HR professionals, that we sort of not just touched on, you know, a really deep, hopefully a deeper understanding and acceptance of autistic employees, but also of the other subsequent topics. And as you see, the other topics were a business case for hiring inclusively. Again, this one is also augmented. We do in our resource section ask people to also look at the same similar type of module put out by Ready, Willing, and Able. So we're really trying to not duplicate what has happened, but augment it and supplement it for this specific service sector. Then in module 3, it's about creating an inclusive workplace culture, sort of strategies to be able to support autistic employees. In module 4, you learn about inclusive recruitment strategies. And then we sort of really go through the employment process from you know, job advertisements to job applications to interviewing. And then we go into module 5 and talk about employment retention strategies. And that's really about onboarding and day-to-day success to support autistic employees, and in fact, all employees to be successful on the job. And so what we really are proud of in this process is that many of the content, many of the strategies that we provide are really not just meant for autistic individuals, but for all employees in general to be successful day to day. So Sharon, I'll let you go back to Sharon. Oh, and Sharon is going to give us a little walkthrough of each of the
Yeah, so I hope at this point you are just excited as we are about these module series. And you're wondering, how do I sign up? And what do these modules actually look like? So I'll walk you through the process of how to register for this module and some content in the modules. So to register, first go to the CIRCA website. click on Professional Development over at the top right-hand corner, scroll down and click on Autism and Neurodiversity in the Workplace. On this page, click on Register Now, and you will receive a confirmation email. Follow the instructions in that email, activate your account, and then you can access the modules. Once you are in the module, this is what the homepage looks like. There is some really important information in the Read Me First section at the very top. And you do need to finish the pre-programmed survey. It is mandatory. Once you finish it, then you can go on to Module 1. And as Karen mentioned earlier, Module 1 is the prerequisite for Modules 2 through 5. But after you finish Module 1, you can complete the rest of the modules in any order. And in case you're wondering about the surveys, they really help us gather user feedback about the content, about the usability of this platform. And the surveys will be in place until early 2022. So this is what a module page would look like. And a key feature in all the modules, as Karen mentioned, is they all have useful information that can be put into practice right away. On this page, as an example, we have strategies for adjusting the job ads and the application process. And as you can see, the information is chunked into manageable size. So you can click on the heading to read more information. And throughout the modules, you will come across self-assessments, short ones, little ones, like this one here. And these are meant to give you a break from reading lots of text, but also it prompts you to think about some real life situations. Once you scroll down to the page, if you see this lock icon and this message, it means you hadn't watched all the videos or clicked on everything there is to click on the page. And after you've completed all the content on the page, the next page will be unlocked and then you can proceed. Here is a flashcard carousel as an example of the different formats the information will be presented in. So you see the front of the page or the front of the flashcard, click to see the back, and then you can click on the blue arrow to go to the next flashcard. There are also lots of visuals throughout the modules. For example, on this page about the physical or sensory adjustments you can make in the office has lots of photos showing how these adjustments are implemented at the Pacific Autism Family Network in Richmond, BC. And I'll just flip through some of these examples so you can see the variety of images that are included in these modules. And here are a few more examples of the visuals you'll see in the module. On this page, there's an interactive illustration. You can click on one of these plus signs, read the detailed information, and go through each situation. And further down on this page, this is one of my favorite types of activities. It's a case study. You will first read the real life scenario and then decide what you would do in the situation. You make a selection and then you'll see text feedback as well as the reaction. And you can go through the case study. To cap off this show and tell, we really want to again express our gratitude to the 15 neurodiverse individuals who graciously shared their experiences on camera. And Karen mentioned earlier, their personal stories really gave life to these modules. So let's wrap up the show and tell portion of the presentation with a 3.5-minute video of 6 autistic employees about the strengths they bring to the workplace. And because I'm playing the video through Zoom and this is being recorded, the video may be a bit choppy, but the audio should come through just fine. So I'll go ahead and switch to full screen and play the 3.5-minute video.
The strengths that I have to offer an employer are that I'm really creative. So I'm really good at figuring out creative solutions to things. And I'm really good with figuring out things visually. So like when we've had to move things around in the warehouse when I was working there, I was really good at like looking at where it currently was and figuring out how much space it needed over in the other spot we were looking to move it to. So we didn't have to move it several times.
The strengths I offer my employer is that I'm friendly and polite with my employers and have a positive attitude.
Another one of my strengths would be that I'm able to find solutions to potential problems and gotta be proactive in working on them as well.
Strengths I have to offer an employer are I can be very task focused. When I get into a certain mindset, that sort of like switch turns on in my brain and I can just focus on one thing and like go straight from beginning to finish, no interruptions. And I can be very, very organized if I have a certain like idea in my head of like how I want things to go and things to look like. And I'm also very creative and I can be very imaginative. So those are some of my strengths.
I'm good at working with people. I'm kind and friendly to others. I have good and developing social skills.
Well, I guess one of the biggest strengths I have to offer an employer, I guess I've already sort of mentioned, was my ability to work really, really hard, because I do work really hard, and how I'm extremely obsessed over doing my daily stuff can be a really big advantage. So a lot of the time, you know, I'll be really fast doing stuff, as I said before. Another advantage I have is I do focus a lot on things that a lot of the times other people miss. You know, occasionally I'll find something. When I was working for Alcan Air, for example, I would find, you know, a nut or a bolt or something that was just laying on the ground playing, and I would automatically, you know, tell the engineers what was going on, and if they had, you know, lost something, usually it was just lost something. It had nothing to do with really the plane itself, right? But it was usually just a spare part or something like that they left on the ground.
I'm always on time, always on task, and I've never been late or missed a shift.
The skills that I'm good at are my attention to detail. I'm very detail oriented. When things are slightly wrong, even though it might be okay, I still bring it up for the employer to choose it, whether it's okay or not. Another skill is that my ability to think uniquely on how people might end up using this final product. And for any sort of software, you want it to be as idiot-proof as possible, and the broader and more unique spectrum of perspective you get on how this can get used ends up with a better quality product at the end.
Okay, and now I will turn it back to Karen.
Great. Thank you. So I'll go to share my screen again. Great. And so we just want people to remember that we're on Zoom right now, and so the video was quite choppy, but when you are just watching it from, you know, your own home, it goes very smoothly. We haven't had, as we said, we've been doing having our surveys, our post module surveys, And very, very few people, unless they're having some difficulties with their own broadband or their own Wi-Fi, have had any problems with the videos, and most people really like them. So let's get down to some quick feedback that we've received so far. Do people like these? Are they actually useful? And so we've had some really nice feedback. This individual really said, it is the training is super informative and helpful. This individual, who's obviously is a human resource candidate on LinkedIn, said this course was very important, and that the person cannot wait to apply their knowledge, and they recommend it. Another person who is also in disability management, we were thrilled when they said that it was one of the best programs available for anyone interested, personally or professionally, in creating accessible, inclusive, diverse, and inclusive workplaces. So we were thrilled to hear that. Another very prominent inclusion advocate really also said, also sort of pumped our program up and shared it with others. And as of 10:45 today, we have 934 registrants. So we're pretty pleased about that. And we're pretty pleased that every time I go on, I was really hoping we'd hit 1,000 for this presentation today. But I'm sure that we will get more. Again, the program is free. The program is self-paced, and once you complete module 1, you can, dive into module 5 if that's where you're thinking your needs are, or you can dive into, around retention strategies, or you can dive into module 3 about how to just create inclusive environments. So we're really happy about the flexibility of the program. And most of these folks have completed, as we can see, completed module 1 and are moving around throughout the modules. What we do, as Sharon said, are doing a survey so that we can gain information both for our understanding of how to put this module together, as well as the other programs that we're creating for dentistry, for physicians, as well as for childcare providers. And some of the feedback has been, again, really great. I didn't put any of the negative feedback in terms of, because the only negative feedback actually that we received is people having difficulty sometimes with navigating. And that's really helped us create some frequently asked questions so that we can have those up on the Canvas site, so that we can help people solve problems, because this program is self-standing. All of the programs that we're creating, as we said, do not have an active teacher. There isn't somebody actively involved where you can go and ask questions. And so the surveys are helping us to get all the kinks out so that they can be self-standing for a minimum shelf life of 5 years. And, people are really loving it. It was fabulous. It was well constructed. And it's also interesting that persons with autism are also taking the course. And I found this interesting that this person said the module was actually triggering for her, for this person, and that they were crying during parts of it because they realized that they weren't alone in their struggles. And so that's really, in some way, I don't know if nice is the word, but it's sort of affirming to hear that this is also something that people can relate to on the autism spectrum. And but also realizing that employers may not, or likely won't, accommodate this person even with training modules like this. And so we're really hoping that that is not the case, and that people will change their attitudes and will change their behavior in the employment field. So let's take a look at some of the survey results to see what changes, sort of our initial changes that we've made. Now, as a reminder, or I don't think we even said this in the beginning, we released these modules, or they were published on April 1st. As of today, it is May 12th. And so it's only just been over a month. We're thrilled that we have over 930 registrants in just over a month. But we are getting some really interesting feedback from people who have taken the modules already. And as you see here, we asked them, rate your current knowledge. This was in the pre-survey before they took module 1. And really, people who had above average or, said they were very knowledgeable in the area of supporting persons with autism was around 29%. Post-module survey, so after they took the module, we asked them to rate on how they supported how knowledgeable they were, and it improved to 71%. So 71% felt that they had now above average, or they felt very knowledgeable and able to support autistic individuals in the workplace. If we ask them, we also asked them after module 1, how comfortable were they? We asked them prior to module 1, how comfortable are you in currently supporting autistic individuals? And about 58%, not surprisingly, because many of the people who are initially registering for this program are already sort of in the space already in some ways. So they already have autistic individuals perhaps under their employment, or they're interested in the field. But still, it was only around 58% felt that they were comfortable supporting individuals. And that improved to 82% after they took the module 1. So we're quite pleased with the trend in this data so far. Now, if we take a look at the specific feedback or the specific surveys from each module, in module 2, which is really the business case for hiring inclusively, we asked them to rate their knowledge around the business case first. And around 28% felt that they were, average, above average, or very knowledgeable in the business case. But after they took the module, that improved to 76% who felt they had above average or were very knowledgeable. And we also asked people, we wanted to know, sort of getting back to that comment that one individual made, will people actually use these strategies in their day-to-day work? And so we asked them, after completing, how likely are you to incorporate these ideas and strategies in your professional day-to-day work? And we were thrilled for the business case that 87% said that they were either very likely or likely to actually use these strategies. The second module, or third module, module 3, was about creating an inclusive workplace culture. We're going to show you the same sort of data here. One, their prior knowledge to around strategies to create inclusive environments was around 30% above average or very. After taking the module, that increased to 72%. And then again, are they likely to actually use some of the ideas and incorporate them in their professional work? And 86% said yes, that they would, either very likely or likely to do so. In module 4, the same sort of data trend that we're seeing here in terms of this module is focused on inclusive recruitment strategies. So creating job advertisements, creating job applications, doing the interview process. How knowledgeable were people felt in that area prior was only about 12% felt that they had really good knowledge in this area, above average or very knowledgeable. But after taking the module, that increased to 77%. So we're really thrilled with that sort of this trend, this jump that people are feeling that, okay, I get it now. I see, I feel that I have more knowledge about job descriptions, about job applications, about the interview process in general, of how to be more inclusive. And so we were thrilled with that. And then again, when we asked them, how likely are you actually to use these strategies around job applications and interview processes? And 85% said that they were very likely or likely to use these strategies. Finally, in module 5, again, this module is about sort of the day-to-day retention strategies. How can you support a person on a day-to-day basis, to any employee, to sort of reach their potential and to be successful on the job? And prior to them taking the module, about 12% that they said that they were above average or very knowledgeable in this area. But afterwards, 83% said after they took this module that they felt that they now were above average or very knowledgeable with these strategies. And what was thrilling was that 90% said that they were likely or very likely to actually implement and use these strategies in their day-to-day work. So that's sort of a summary of the data that we have so far. We'll be thrilled to see what comes of it. As we said, our surveys really, because these programs will be self-standing for a shelf life of 5 years. We will probably take our surveys off after by the end of this year or early 2022, because we will have gained all the information that we needed, and we can have people sort of do one less thing in it. But we really appreciate that people take the time to do the surveys now, so that we can really learn from this first program, the Autism and Neurodiversity in the Workplace, so that we can better inform the other programs that we are creating as well. And so autism spectrum disorder in primary care, as I said before, we are collaborating with the UBC Continuing Professional Development Program and the Faculty of Medicine to create these modules. They should be coming out later this year. One is on one is on recognize and refer, and the other is on management. Autism and neurodiversity in the dental setting is also in development. It will also come out later this year, early next year. And we have also been able to provide 6 hours of curriculum into the UBC dental hygiene program. So pre-service training, we've done that for 2 years in a row now, as well as 8 hours of lectures or a lecture series for UBC dentistry program. So we're sort of doing it on both sides. We're creating a professional development program for people who are in dentistry or in dental hygiene or in the dental setting already. And then we're also working with those who in pre-service. And then finally, autism and neurodiversity in childcare settings is also coming soon. We have a couple of the modules sort of drafted and started to make already. And hopefully that will be coming again later this year or early 2022. We're going to be very busy over the next little while. So that's sort of where we will end off. I'm going to stop sharing now and see if we have any questions and end it there.